All right, howdy folks. How's it going today? So I had one of you remind me about your bean sprouts experiment, and the bean sprouts, that activity originally I was going to have everyone do. I sent you all beans so that you could do it. But now we're at the point where we're going to end that activity. And I could have ended it earlier, but we were kind of busy, and obviously we're now, talking about animals instead of plants. But I am going to actually use this activity as extra credit because I know you guys have a lot to do and lots going on, so I don't want it to be overly confusing or too much for you. So I had told you that I had planted some bean sprouts alongside you guys, and that was great because you were maybe not able to get your bean sprouts going, but I got all of mine in. So I planted one set of them in the cold, one set of them in room temperature, and one set of them in the warm. And my cold was in my refrigerator. My room temperature was just on a desk in my living room. And the warm was in a closet. And really the warm should have been in an environment that was like 90 to 100 degrees. And I didn't have an incubator at home to be able to provide that environment. So we just did the best we could with what we had. So I'm going to show you each of the treatments and the end result. And then the extra credit, if you choose to do it, would be to answer the analysis questions based upon the findings from this experiment. So when I see my roll here, this is the top and this is the bottom. And again, all the rolls had 10 beans in them. I'm just going to dump out the water that was in that one so it doesn't get all crazy. So the ask here was which ones had germinated. And the cold, you can see that it remained moist all the way up to the top of the paper towel. The whole thing was wet. That was the whole time. And my refrigerator probably stays kind of on the cold side. Once in a while things freeze in there that shouldn't, but let's see how we did. So the top bean did not germinate. It's kind of squishy. Bean 2 did not germinate, also kind of squishy. Bean 3, same, no germination, squishy. Bean 4, no germination. Bean 5, no germination, still kind of squishy. Bean 6, a little more squishy, no germination. Bean 7, no germination. Bean 8, no germination. Bean 9, no germination. And bean 10, no germination. So, nothing germinated in the beans that were in the cold environment. Next, we're going to go to the warm environment. So the warm environment, these beans were, just dropped my paper towel in. About half the paper towel is dry, the top half, and the bottom half is wet. These beans, like I said, were in a closet in my bathroom, and that's where they hung out for, it's probably been about 2 weeks for me at this point. So like I said, much longer. So let's see what we've got in here. It's like your birthday, right? We're opening presents. See what's in here. Actually, there's more than I thought might be in here. I thought nothing was going to happen. Perhaps. Not my prediction, but when I open them up, my prediction perhaps. All right, so bean 1 germinated. It looks like it had died because it's very dry. It's dried out. And so the little root that's coming out of here is not living anymore. So germinated, yes. And I didn't really have to fill these. The water did not really evaporate in mine. At times, we might have to refill the water level to keep it the same, but it did not evaporate in this case. All right, bean 2. Oh boy, bean 2 is excited in here. Bean 2 is germinated, got some really good roots. I just had to break that root off, and it still has its bean here. Bean 3 has also germinated, has a nice healthy root on it. Not dried out, those two, like bean 1 was. Bean 4. Oh boy, bean 4 is super excited. Germinated, got a really big root on it. All kinds of excitement in that one. Bean 5. So bean 5 started to rot. Gross. These little roots are broken off from the ones that were up top. So bean 5 rotted. Actually, it's starting to like get mushy on the inside. Bean 6. No germination, not rotten. So perhaps bean 5 just had like some issues going on with it. Bean 7 is the seed coat's falling apart, but nothing particularly going on there. Bean 8, no germination. Bean 9, no germination, very soft. Kind of stinky. My hands might smell for tonight. I might pay for this. Bean 10, no germination. All right, so the top 4 in the warm germinated. The bottom 6 did not. 1 was kind of rotten. I don't know, I might plant the ones that germinated. We'll see. I got a whole bunch more. I bought them at outlets for like a whole pound for $2, so I have beans forever, folks. All right, so here was our room temperature, and whoa, look what's going on here. This is why somebody that had the room temperature told me that their bean was growing out of their paper towel, and they were like, can we like do something with that now? And I was like, oh yeah, we should do that. So I told them I would make sure the extra credit assignment got posted tomorrow. All right, so anyway, we'll see again that just like the one that was in the warm environment, and these were in a very similar environment, like I said, but the top half of the paper towel is dry, the bottom half of the paper towel is wet. And these were exposed to a lot more light than the ones that were in my quote-unquote warm environment. So that also has a big factor in what you see going on here, which is very significant germination in some of the seeds. So let's try to find bean number 1 up here. So bean number 1, good golly, crazy beans. Bean number 1, I just broke part of it, but germinated and has a giant root. This one was seeking out the water, so its root was growing all the way down into the water so that it could stay alive, but it had a very difficult time pushing out of that paper towel because the staple was right there with it. All right. This is bean number 2, I believe. Right here. So bean number 2 is also germinated. Okay, this that just broke apart, I believe, is bean number 3. Also very significant root system that was headed down into the water. This here, I believe, is bean number 4. You can see, look at the difference, folks. There's no seed anymore. The seed is way up here, and these are the first leaves that are coming out, and you can barely even, tell that turned into this in 2 weeks' time. So what do we say? That was 4. This is bean number 5. And again, I told you there was more light in this area, but these plants were like crazy starved, desired light, trying to reach towards it. There wasn't a lot of light, there was just a decent amount of light. So this one has a giant stem on it. And if your seedlings, your Victory Garden seedlings are inside and they're starting to grow giant stems like this, reason being, not enough light. You gotta have a good light source to be able to grow really strong stems and stems that will support a plant well. So if you have really elongated stems, that's a side note, your light source is not significant enough. But once it starts getting warm, you could actually get your seeds outside during the day and bring them in at night if there's a chance that it might be too cold. All right, so this is bean number 6. This one also seems to be like rotten, very slimy. Wanted to maybe try to germinate. Sorry, I was not in video camera there. But it did not. There seems to be maybe some mold or something around these. Bean number 7, also slimy, breaking apart, kind of rotting. Bean number 8 is just hard. Bean number 9, hard, not germinated. Bean number 10 is hard and not germinated. So I think that what happened, like when you're looking at conclusions and analysis of these different activities, the warm and the room temperature for me was very similar. And the reason was because the temperature was not differentiated, but you did see significant variation because of the increased light in the one that I was calling room temperature versus the one that I was calling the warm environment. All right, so you have a record. There was 5 germinated, the top 5 in the room temperature, the top 4 in the warm environment germinated, and none in the cold environment germinated. So that's what you're going to need to answer the couple analysis questions if you would like the extra credit points for the bean sprouts activity. Again, if you have bean sprouts at home, you can go ahead and throw those out. We're not going to use them anymore. You could try to plant them. They might kind of sort themselves out in the soil, but we do not need this activity anymore. All right, thanks guys. Have a great day.